Welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, India's only daily television platform for small businesses. We bring you the right information to empower you, the SME entrepreneur. Tonight on the show, I'm bringing you an exclusive conversation with Hari Menon. He's the co-founder and CEO of Bigbasket, talking about trends and opportunities in the retail space for entrepreneurs. Do take a listen. Thank you very much for speaking with us here on ET Now, on the Leaders of Tomorrow. It's always fascinating to talk to people who've been at a time and who've started their businesses at a time when the industry was really nascent, and 5, 6, 7 years down the line, we've seen how the industry has expanded. So thank you for speaking with us. Your personal journey as an entrepreneur. So while you're saying that the early shoots were there was no idea or inclination or imagination, I would presume, of just how large this industry was going to be. So what helped you to sort of prepare? What helped you to decide that this is an industry that's definitely going to grow? Did you have good people who mentored you, advised you along the way?
I must go back and tell you that when we started this whole entrepreneurial journey in '99, and that is when there wasn't an ecosystem at all. And that's why when I keep talking to people, I keep telling them one of the key things that you need to really look at before you start is look at the readiness of the ecosystem. And I have such a great example to talk about. '99, we started a lot of fanfare, so many .com companies, so many internet companies, coming up. Kids passing out of college were getting funded by people. The whole funding cycle used to take 15 days, which takes anywhere between 3 to 6 months now. And of course, people paid for it. There was a huge bust that happened later. But fundamentally, there was no ecosystem, right? Fortunately, we pivoted very, very quickly. Within a year, we realized that, this was getting hard and tough. We kept the business going because we realized we knew that at some point, things will start looking better. But we had to do that pivot and move to the physical grocery business because we had set up infrastructure for online grocery by then. And we started, Fab Mall, which is a chain of physical stores. So coming back, 2011 was a little different actually. 2011, the ecosystem was ready, right? And that's what gave us the confidence of coming back and starting something as complex and hard as grocery. One is that we had done it before. We understood the whole grocery supply chain, and we had built an internet business before. So the combination of that, helped us get started, and there was nobody in grocery. So it was an open, field available where we could actually set up. But just to your point, the ecosystem had actually started showing signs of readiness, right? Large transactions are happening on Flipkart. People are actually buying. People are buying products on Flipkart. People are paying on Flipkart. So we saw that, and 2011 was just the right time for us to get in. So essentially, when we started Bigbasket, which was in 2011, actually Ganesh approached us, from Growth Story, and said, hey, I can't think of anybody better. There is no grocery player right now. The internet is booming. E-commerce is happening. You can see what Flipkart is doing. People are actually transacting on the internet, and I think you guys should quickly come together and put this together. Sure. So Ganesh actually got us together, and after that, one of the things that he also told us he would do is that this whole capital raising exercise is something that he said he would guide us and be along with us, because there were two important things we were very clear of when we started, absolutely clear of. One is we need the ecosystem, and we had a terrible time in '99, and we've learnt it the hard way. We realized that was available, right? So you had broadband, you had payment gateways, you have phones, you have all your tablets. So everything that you needed for that ecosystem to be running was available, right? There was no problem. People are actually transacting on the internet. Second is capital. We were very clear about one thing, that if we don't raise sufficient capital for a longer runway, which is typically about 3 years, and that's one of the mistakes a lot of entrepreneurs make, and I'll talk about it a little later when I'm wanting to give some form of advice, is that we were clear that we wanted enough capital for a long period. So 3 years was the minimum that we wanted, because taking capital for shorter periods doesn't get you anywhere, because very soon you're more worried about raising money than building your business. And that is what we were clear of. And we were lucky that within 2 months we actually raised our Series A. So we didn't even do too much of an angel and stuff. We all put in some money.
Sure. Right now, I understand that you're doing your Series E and you're looking at raising about $200 million. Just a quick question in terms of perhaps where you're looking at investing that.
So essentially now our investments are coming in 3 large buckets, right, that we're looking at. And I'm saying 3 large buckets because one of the things that I think is done as far as we are concerned is that we have a very well-oiled engine now, which actually delivers what we want, right? So there is no issue because we focused on the back end in the beginning, made sure our back end works and delivers. So 3 buckets. One is growth, right? It's all about growing the business now. So doubling every year, maybe growing faster than just doubling every year. And growth is essentially marketing, right? So we want to invest, more money into making sure that more people, get to know us. We get new customers quicker and stuff like that. So growth is one bucket. The second bucket is infrastructure, because for us in our business, we are fairly infra heavy, right? We've got distribution centers, we've got hubs, we've got dark stores. So a lot of infra that we need to build. A lot of investment is going to go to infra. We're also looking at considering owning vehicles instead of having them rented out and stuff. So our last mile delivery stuff. So our second bucket is all about investing more and more into infrastructure, because without that the business can't grow. Sure. And the third bucket is technology, right? I think we've done enough, but there are specific areas that we now want to look at in terms of seeing how it can help us. One is this whole business of data analytics, right? We've got such rich data on our consumers. If only we can use that and package that well for ourselves, we can actually create such great offerings individually for customers. So we can actually address each customer by the person that the customer is. So we know exactly what the person does and what the person buys and what the person will buy, which time of the month the person buys what. So we can actually configure, and the moment somebody logs in, we can actually put a basket together.
Give them the suggestions, etc. So you're talking about technology and you're talking about finance. I will come back and talk about both. But very quickly, I want to talk about the fact that you've said as of last year, as of March of last fiscal, you've closed at about 2,000 crores. You're looking at touching about 3,500 crores, if I'm not mistaken. Where is this growth coming from?
So it is largely come from acquisition of new customers. However, I'm not taking away the fact that we are also very heavily focused on making our existing customers buy more.
Sure.
So it's a combination of both, but largely coming through to acquisition of new customers.
I want to refer to a Nielsen report on the industry. They're saying that 1.3% now of the total FMCG sales in the country is coming from grocery, but that's expected to jump exponentially to 11% by 2030. Where is that growth coming from? You have been talking about acquisition of new customers, but where are these new customers?
So actually the business itself is going to grow exponentially if you look at online. And the single biggest reason being that now there are going to be more players who are going to come in. So you'll see more and more people actually graduating online. And that's the single biggest reason why it will happen. The size of the retail business is close to $1 trillion today, right? It's about $900 billion. 60% is grocery out of that. So $500-600 billion is just grocery. 3-4% of that is modern trade, right? So it is such a large market that you will find more and more actually people from the physical world starting to move online, and the single biggest growth will come there. And more importantly, like I said, there will be more players. You already have Amazon, Flipkart, Grofers, Reliance, and a whole lot of such people who are now wanting to come. There's enough space for everybody, and you'll see that 11% happening very fast. In fact, my belief is that it's going to move to 20% very soon.
Amazing. So you're talking about some of the players who've come into the industry, including Walmart and Amazon, of course. So this is a two-part question. One is, how are homegrown players like yourself really dealing with this competition? And second, your advice for viewers of this interview to say that while the competition is changing at the top end, how's life really changing for the small retailers?
Yeah, great question. And I love this question because so many people ask me this all the time. I have one solid belief that in a large market like this, right, a single player finds it very difficult to build a market, right? Because you will have to make all the investments, you will have to do all the marketing, you're trying to convince the world that, listen, move online, it's convenient, it's great, and stuff like that. You're single-handedly doing it in a large market, and the sizes are large. When more players come in, markets open up faster, right? Because there's more noise in the marketplace. Simple. If you'd open the newspaper on the Times of India or the Bangalore Times or any of these couple of days back, you would find Grofers there, you'd find Amazon Pantry there, you'd find Flipkart there, you'll find Bigbasket there. So look at the noise levels that are already happening, telling people, listen, move online, right? It's convenient, great products, right? We've got a larger range, we've got XYZ benefits that you can do by going online. So larger the noise, markets open up faster. Right. And when markets open up faster, good players get a good share of the market. So if you don't perform and you don't do well, then you're obviously going to lose that. So I think competition is badly needed because we can't build this market ourselves. It's too large for us to build it. So good that Amazon is coming in, put more money into marketing, tell people that, listen, online is a great thing to do. So that's my single big, I'm very clear about this. Every time there's an ad, our business goes up.
Okay. Most players though, and most experts who watch any industry say that when competition gets fierce, the small players either have to consolidate or fold up. Is that going to be true of this industry?
That's not true at all of this industry. And globally, we've seen that small stores have never shut, globally. This fear was there 15 years back, 20 years back when modern trade happened, right? When Food World and Spencer's and Reliance and More and all these people started building stores, people started getting worried, saying what's going to happen to the neighborhood store? The neighborhood stores got better. Those entrepreneurs started becoming better. There is a big need of those stores, right? People still go and buy top-ups there. People still, you will make a long distance travel once or twice a month. You will go to your neighborhood stores more often. So both formats will remain. Market size, as I told you, is so large. There's only 3-4% of that's getting served by by the modern trade segment, and the rest of it is still the small mom and pop shops. But if they don't evolve and they don't kind of change the way they do business, then a lot of them might struggle. But the enterprising ones, what they do is they actually start upgrading themselves and start getting better on service. That's what's going to happen in India. We've not seen it closing down when modern trade came. There's no reason for it to close down when online comes.
Okay. Time for a quick break here on the show, but we'll continue bringing you expert insights into the retail space in India. Much more on the other side of the short break. Do stay tuned. Welcome back with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight on the show we are talking about the opportunities and the challenges for entrepreneurs who are in the retail space with Bigbasket. Two things that you started this interview with. One was technology and the second was funding. Let's talk about technology. Again, two-part question. How do you, as the founder of a business that is entirely online, how do you educate yourself about the changing trends, because technology is changing so rapidly? And second, how do you ensure that your employees are getting trained constantly as well?
Sure. So this happens through constant reading, to constant attending a lot of these seminars and shows that are going on, and that's how you kind of figure out. But this isn't rocket science, right? There isn't so much to do that you can't understand. And then you build very competent teams, right, who are basically into it and they understand what's going on, and
Sure.
and they take most of the load in terms of figuring out what needs to be done.
Sure.
So that's not rocket science. The important thing from technology for us is that technology is an extremely strong enabler for us, right? We don't use technology for the sake of using technology, right? We don't use technology just because it's fancy, just because it looks good, just because there is a lot of PR, element to it. We use it because it helps us. And it helps us, hence helps customers. That's really what we do. So every time we have to make investments into something new, we ask ourselves the hard question, saying, is this really going to help a customer? And then take those decisions. So we do it not because it's fancy and because it looks good, but because it's useful and necessary. Technology has become very affordable today. It's become cheap. You're able to get people and technology much, much faster than what it was 10, 15 years ago.
Sure.
So I think, it will remain a strong backbone for us, a very strong backbone, a strong enabler, and everything we do is driven by technology.
Let's talk about fundraising. When we started this conversation, you were talking about fundraising, and you said your belief for your business was that you wanted to raise funds before you needed it and for the long term. A lot of companies, a lot of investors, in fact, tell us that when a business is small, bootstrap if you need to, borrow money from friends and family, don't look at taking external money, and raise only when you need to. So what is your advice? Because your thinking for your business has been different.
I don't believe in it at all, right? I think you should raise, in a business, I think capital is such a critical thing, right? Without money, unless you have your own money, right? Sure. You're from a family business house, and then, and there's a tap that's available which you can actually open and get money whenever you want.
Yeah.
But, when you run a business, right, without capital, how are you going to ever run it, right? The important thing is to take capital for a long period. Important thing is to take capital more than what you need, right? It's a humbling exercise. It's a very painful exercise. So when you go to the market and want to raise money and you don't have any money, for all you know, you may not get money at that point in time. So, markets, investors, there's no predictability there, that you can actually go and say, listen, I will now just take a little bit of money, build the business for the next 3 months, then I'll go again after 3 months and take a little bit more money, because you're trying to optimize for your stakeholding, right? Sure. You're trying to tell yourself, let me hold as much stake as I can and dilute very little. But what happens is that every 3-4 months you run out of money. It is such a difficult exercise. The business suffers because you're not focusing on the business, and you're going and trying to figure out how to raise money. And
Sure.
raising money doesn't come out of 1 or 2 meetings and just calling a few people, right? So it's a long drawn exercise and takes time. So that's the reason I'm saying that you can't start a business without raising enough capital, with a long runway. And to me, the minimum that you must look at is 3 years, nothing less.
Sure, fair enough. Let's talk also about training of employees. Yours is an industry that focuses heavily on having access to good quality, skilled manpower. What has your experience been?
Very critical thing I must talk about, right? It's so close to our hearts that it's something that we spend. I spend enormous amount of time, along with my colleagues in HR. Is this blue collar workforce, right? We have 16,000 people today in our company. About 75% of our workforce is blue collar. I hate using that term. We call them associates. But these are our delivery boys, our warehouse pickers, packers, stackers, this whole bunch. We've got about 12,000 of them in the company. They come from difficult backgrounds, right? They're expected to come at 6:30 in the morning and deliver at 7 o'clock with a smile, right? So this is one of our biggest challenges, right? And we are investing heavily into multiple things, right? Training is core to us, and that's something that we right in the beginning decided not to outsource, because we said it's such a large workforce, getting them productive fast is so critical for us. So training is completely in-house, right? So we've spent a lot of time, energy in building our training teams, building content, making sure it's delivered right, making sure that people benefit from that training, making sure that we measure outcomes, right? That's very, very important for us. I'm not going to talk about white collar because we don't have a problem there, right? We don't have any attrition there. On blue collar, the attrition that we run, the worst case, it runs at almost 25-30% a month, to a good case, which is about 10% a month.
Sure.
So people, we need to make sure that people don't leave. If 20-30 people don't turn up in a distribution center, my business suffers. I can't deliver that morning with 30 people less, right? So it's such a crucial piece in our whole thing. So training is very much part of our DNA. We do a lot of work around rewards and recognitions. Our R&R programs are held monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly, and we spend a lot of time, energy to make sure that we reward people who do well.
Sure.
So it's a huge process. It's not, we haven't cracked it, right? I think it'll take us a while to kind of get to a position where our goal is to become the most preferred employer for blue collar workers in the country.
Okay.
And this is a statement we are making across, and just like we do for farmers, right? So that's the other program which we do, the Farmer Connect program. Become the most preferred company for farmers to work with, right? And become the most preferred company for customers to work with. So we have only 3 mantras actually.
In fact, I want to very briefly talk about your Farmer Connect program as well, and how that's helping you in your procurement life cycle.
So right now, close to about 80% of what we sell comes directly from farmers.
Sure.
We've got about 37 collection centers spread across all over the country. And these are collection centers which are close to farming locations. We've got agronomists there who actually work closely with these farmers. We've got the buying team there. We've got grading, sorting that we do there. So farmers come to our collection center and give us the produce. Two things that we've achieved. One is that I think the realization that a farmer gets by supplying directly to us is anywhere between 8 to 15% higher, because by the time he reaches the mandi, the middleman just finish whatever he has, right? So that's one. And the second unique thing we do, and I think we're probably the only ones who do it, is that we pay the farmer on day 2 and directly to his bank.
Okay.
Now that is a big thing, right? Farmers getting payments on second day of supply. So he supplies it today, by tomorrow evening or worst case day after morning, the money is in his bank, right? And in his bank. So there is nobody there standing to hassle him, because when he has cash, people whom he's taken money from are actually standing waiting for him to come out with that cash and take it all away. Now it goes to the bank. So savings have gone up. So I think these two things have helped us build that program well. So we've got close to about 8,500 farmers whom we work with across the country, and this is only growing. And this is the other program that we'll continue focusing on. It's called the Farmer Connect program. Yeah.
Sure. I also want to talk quickly about the fact that we're counting down to the budget. What would you, as an industry leader, really like to see for the retail industry?
I don't think there is much that that the industry in a sense needs, actually.
Okay.
Because I think it's got pretty much what it has. I think we look at this very differently, right? What we do with governments is that we work with governments in making sure that they support us on our entire agri program, right? So we work with the governments to basically help us set up our collection centers, right? Help us set up our automated grading, sorting, packaging, units. So we've set up one in Anantapur with Andhra Pradesh government. We've set up one in Vijayawada with the Andhra Pradesh government. So we're doing a lot of work with the Karnataka government. So that's one side of it. We are actually wanting to do a lot of work with the government in terms of making sure that our blue collar workforce, we get a lot of support from them in terms of sourcing them, in terms of funding them. So for example, in Karnataka, the Social Welfare Department has just announced a program which basically says that they will, for all Dalits and SC, STs, they will fund them a vehicle, and they will be the owner of that vehicle, and they will attach that to Bigbasket, Ola, Uber. Okay. But that vehicle is funded by the government. What we need is things like that, right? So from a policy regulatory perspective, I think I really don't think there is any worry right now from a retail perspective.
Sure. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak
Pleasure.
with us here, Hari.
Thank you.
All right, completely out of time then on this special exclusive interview. If you have any feedback for us, here's how you get in touch. leadersoftomorrowtimesgroup.com is our email ID. Get in touch with us on our social media pages. Tweet at me personally at Sunanda_J or LOT_ET now. Get in touch with us on Facebook, Leaders of Tomorrow on ET Now. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.